best way to do it is just to tell you my predicament. It's because nothing I say is going to be enough. Nothing I say is going to describe enough to you where my heart is for this city or for my offices. See, I get it, that's true. I'm very proud to be the chief of the Canton Police Department. I'm proud to be part of this community. I'm proud as a Christian man to be given this burden of service. It's not easy. It's not easy. And you know what? It shouldn't be. Those of you who have anger toward the police, whether it's for an incident, or for a string of incidents, or for a lot of things, you know that anger comes toward me, and it's okay. I deserve it. I took this job for a reason. And let me say this: there are a lot of things here. I cannot speak to specific incidents. I can give you a few things from my heart. When I became chief, one of the first things I did is make a historical change in our community outreach. Any of you who have been part of our weekly and game events, any of you who have seen our brand new substation, police substation out here at Boys and Girls Club, then you understand. Officer Sharp is.
Where Officer Sharp at? We ain't seen on one officer we believe in. We don't never see him again.
Officer Sharp paid to the detective bureau, and I get it.
That's what you said.
It's public record. You can look at public record on business.
This is why we don't believe in this city. It might not look the same to y'all, but when you come on our side, it's very much different.
Let me say this. I would say this, please, about Officer Sharp. I love Lamar Sharp. I think Lamar Sharp does a great job. I can tell you that in my time in policing, I have recognized that Lamar Sharp has something that you can't teach, you can't train, you can't hire into somebody. I love it. And I love what he's done for the community, what he means to the community. It's not enough for me to say, apparently, Ms. Jackson, that he has chosen to get where he's at. That is absolutely true. You can look at that as a provable fact. Do I wish that Officer Sharp would have chosen to bid and try to go back into the schools? Maybe. You know, that's not the system. The system is that officers get to choose to some degree what their assignment is, and Officer Sharp chose his assignment. That's a fact. The other fact is, as I was trying to say, is that that community engagement that I talk about, that's not just for our community. One of the questions is talking about police, what are we doing for our police? That is one of the things I'm doing for police. Some of the training you get initially has to do with implicit bias. And you get training on DEI, respect for other people, understanding cultural sensitivity and so forth. But putting those things to practice is a whole different story. The work begins when you're actually on the street. And some of those community engagement events, the opportunity to go out into the community and work with the community and literally feed women and children and families and men and other neighborhood residents, gives those officers a different perspective of those neighborhoods. I've been very proud of that, and the officers who have been a part of that. There's also all of our new officers. They go through having a community engagement. They do walking beats. They do a community service project. These are things, to just ask, what am I doing for our officers? Those are some of those things. We've increased walking beats. Walking beats used to be just downtown businesses. And I've expanded those walking beats into every neighborhood in the city of Canton. Hundreds of hours. Some of the best photographs and uplifting images and connections that my officers have made on those walking beats, come from those opportunities. I know there will be some here who say, why don't you see an officer on a walking beat? I'm saying that somebody says, I've never seen an officer in my neighborhood, or I never see a car in my neighborhood. You're right, because we spread very thin. So you may be right, it doesn't mean that we don't do it. It doesn't mean that we're not out there. It doesn't mean that my guys don't care. say, I can tell you this, I can say that from a policing standpoint, I see so much more good than I see bad. I see so much more wonderful, incredible work by these men and women than I see bad. And I know that we are fast being known by our mistakes. But what have I done as a police chief? I've called out bad behavior.
No, you
Yes, I have.
You have not arrested them. Firing is not, if I did what they did, I'd be arrested. But fired, they need to go to jail, like
Boy, you
anybody
got
in
kicked.
this room
Boy,
will
you
go
got
to
kicked, y'all
jail.
ain't saying that. Frank Tyson,
Go
yeah.
to jail.
So again, well, let me address one thing, because I don't want to go off the rails. I understand what you're saying, I can't speak specific cases. But I will say this. Several years ago, you know that any critical incident with the police department was handled by us.
And it still is.
It is not.
You showed
It is
him
not.
jail.
It is not. So what was the demand? What was the demand from the community? We can't have departments investigating their own, and so we did. So we have a critical incident, we call in a state agency separate, completely separate from Canton, to investigate. But what's the consequence? The consequence is they take like a year. They take like a year to finish, and then it goes to the prosecutor. And so it goes for so long, and here's the thing. The reason please, Scout, please, if you just give me some time to speak. What I'm trying to say is, I can't make a comment either way on any of these cases because they're still under consideration. And the people who are going to
You can make it on
render,
my brothers. Y'all
and the
killed
people,
him in 2008. Shot him 28 times in the shower. We can talk about that. That's been over with. How about we talk about that?
so the problem is that if I make comments, either way, I could affect that investigation. I could affect the way that investigation goes, and that's not appropriate. I can also steer the narrative in a way that's positive to the police, and I don't do that. What we're left with, no, the mayor can't do it either. Kim, the people who are going to decide in the grand jury are among us. Kim, they're among us.
You can't make a call and say, the mayor can't say, arrest that officer. Can the mayor say that? Yes or no?
I don't know. Anybody can say anything, but that's not the
When the
point.
mayor takes the
Kim,
call,
please.
can the mayor make the call and say, charge him and let the court speak?
No, the mayor can.
That's all I want to know.
Okay, the mayor can.
Okay.
Well, let me say that what we're left with is now a system in which I lean on another agency to do the investigation. They may take a year. And the people who are in the grand jury who are going to be making the decision, they are among us. They're in our community. They're going to be hearing what I say or anybody else says. And so it's not proper for me to make a comment either way to sway that direction. And so what we're left with is that void is being filled with a narrative that I may or may not agree with, but it's filled with a narrative that we cannot combat. It is difficult. It is difficult on the community. It's difficult on the officers. It's difficult on me. And I'm not looking for sympathy. But I will say this: no one's going to get me to come up here and say the Canton Police is a bad police department.
I'll say it for you. I'll say suck.
That's fine. You can say it. I won't. I won't.
And I pay their,
And you know what? I love this city, and I love my officers, and I love the fact that I have a chance to support them. But listen, I'm not talking. I have a history, and you know that I have a history, reported history of calling out bad behavior, responding to bad behavior. But that doesn't mean that I don't love the men and women that I work with. I can tell you right now that my officers have handled at this point more than 40,000 calls for service. Around 70,000 per year. More reports than you could imagine. More workload than you could imagine. About 1,800, a little more than 1,800 incidents where we have to make an arrest. In less than 10% of those incidents, we have to use force in any way. And in less than 1% of those incidents results in any kind of finding of against policy or out of policy. Less than 1%. But to tell you the facts of what we deal with calls, with interactions, with the hundreds of thousands of interactions that our officers go through a year, you could have a tendency of saying I'm minimizing I'm minimizing the bad incidents, and I'm not. I'm not. When I see something bad, it hurts. It hurts because right now, at this point in my 3rd year as chief, I should be celebrating the fact that every single year I've been chief, our crime rate has gone down. I should celebrate the fact that violent crime, when I took over as chief, I inherited 7 or 8 homicides, and at the time, almost all of them involved young men, teenagers, early 20s. This year, do you know how many gun-related homicides citywide we have? One. And his murder homicide was very unfortunate, but it was not what we had seen when I took over as chief. And I don't get the credit for that. The men and women who are out there putting their lives on the line every day get the credit for that. And they are working hard, and they are doing so many right things, and we're making mistakes too. And I get it. Maybe it's fair to say we're going to be known by our mistakes, not by our accomplishments. But I'm not going to be the one who stands up here and berates any of the policing in general, who my men and women send off. Now, I do want to say this. I'm not minimizing anything. And for anybody here who has an opinion of the police, a police officer has done something, or many police officers, or the institution of policing has done something that has caused you to disrespect, to hurt. Look, I'm sorry. From me, but I'm sorry. I apologize to you if that's something that we've done to affect you, because it's never our mission, it's never our goal. And when I see something like you see, I have probably the same reaction. I can't say that it's worse, but my stomach hurts. Because I know what it means for our men and women, for all of our men and women. And I know that these things, I wish we were talking about the accomplishments we have, instead of going to be talking about our mistakes. And I'm not saying that's not fair. But I'm not going to pick up a microphone in front of a group of people who are critical of the police without standing up for them and the hard work that they do. I won't do it. And I'm telling you this too, every year I've been chief, we have had fewer use of force issues. We have had fewer use of force incidents, is what I mean. 22% less force used in incidents since I became chief in 2021 to today. 14% fewer in 2023 compared to 2022. It is true. And if you'd like the stats, we get a public records request on the I come to you guys humbly to say, I'm doing what I think are the right things. I wish I had all night to kind of sit through and run things through. I think by my rambling, you probably can tell this is a very speech. But one last apology to people who literally came here for the Southwest end. And I'm so glad that you came here to hear what's being said. I'm so glad we had an opportunity to hear from the city leaders. The reason I apologize is because the police, once the police and law enforcement is involved, it becomes.
You're apologizing to this side of the neighborhood, but the southeast side is just as important as this side. So it should be combined. You shouldn't apologize. That's wrong. That's wrong for you to do. You know
What I'm saying is,
I have no close mind.
Thank you. Okay. Well, what I'm saying is, if you came here for the meeting and it's been detoured by recent events that have to do with the police, and it becomes more about something that wasn't intended to, then that's what I'm apologizing for. I have a heart for the city, I have a heart for law enforcement, I have a heart for all of you guys, and I might not say all the right things, I might not know all the right things, but I can tell you that I am led by my faith, that I always will be, and that's something I won't apologize for. But I've had a lot of people recently who have said, well, man, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. That's not what I got to put here. I wouldn't want to get in anybody else's shoes. It's not easy.
You don't be in our shoes either.
Okay, I hear you. But you know what? I'm here to this is what I was trying to do, I'm gonna keep doing that until